So I've taken all the technology in eye care and I've divided it into 4 sections. We'll call it low-hanging fruit, middle branch, top of the trees, and exotic. You're going to see some of them have a star. I think everybody in this room needs everything that has a star. That's going to be my opinion, but that's why I'm standing up here. All right. You have a handout, right? They got a handout? Or they could have downloaded.
The flash drive. So everyone is taking, I'm seeing some people taking photographs of Dr. Deloach's slides.
Yeah.
Flash drives that everyone has, both of it, you get a handout on there and also all of the slides are on there.
Yeah, this lecture's on there. But more importantly, there's a handout, and it says Technology Primer. And it's going to take every one of these concepts and blow them up. Because to do what we would like to do with this would have taken 5 hours. So you're going to have to go do some homework on your own. But I've sent you the homework home. Okay? So go read the primer. So here it is. Here's your first. Sensoromotor evaluation, a word that most optometrists don't have a clue what it even means. And I don't blame you. We were brought up to say this is a binocular assessment, okay, but the rest of the medical world calls it a sensoromotor evaluation. So when do I use this? Everything we're going to talk about is a separate billable procedure. Separate billable procedure. This is not part of an eye exam. This is the patient that comes in and says, you know, when I'm reading for a little bit of time, the words start splitting apart and I'm seeing 2 and I have to put it down for a while, and then we go, oh, that's an eye exam, right? I just measure their foria and they need 2 base up in one eye and 2 base down in the other, and that's what optometrists do. No, it didn't. That's a separate billable service. A routine eye exam is nothing more than routine stuff. If you have to go beyond what you do for a normal patient encounter, it is not routine eye care anymore. This is a separate billable procedure. Okay? Tell you all about it in the handout. Cost, 0. You're already doing it. You have everything you need to do this tomorrow. Reimburses $60. So there you go. How many of those patients do you see a week? And give away a sense of, when I showed it to Lisa's like writing notes going, Monday. I see 3 of these a day. It's about right. It's about right. Okay? Gonioscopy. Oh, look, you're not going to like this slide, are you? No one wants to get a gonio lens out and stick that gooey thing on an eye. Okay, look, here's the deal. Standard of care. Standard of care. Sorry. It's not that hard. We got a wet lab on it tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes. Okay? Not that hard. You all did it at one point in time. It's just practice. It ain't that hard. Okay? $350 if you don't have one. You probably already have one. $35. You're going to do that several times a week. So very little capital outlay. Probably giving that one away. Extended ophthalmoscopy. Now this one is a 2-edged sword. Capital outlay again, 0. Most of us think if we see a patient and they come in and they say, I got this flash going on out here, and you start looking around and they have a little percolated tear, which unfortunately most of you are going to send to a retina doctor unnecessarily. But they got a little tear out there and you really want to document that thing. Look, that is not routine ophthalmoscopy. That is beyond what we normally do. That's called extended ophthalmoscopy. If we have to take extra time to look at it, extra time to document it, we get paid more. 0 capital outlay. Doesn't cost you a dime to do this. Just have to do it. Now, got to watch it because this is for serious conditions. And the bottom line is a lot of times we can photo it better than we can describe it. And photos pay more, so if we're just going to talk about money, why would you do extended ophthalmoscopy? You can take a picture. But nonetheless, sometimes you can't take a picture way out there. That's where extended ophthalmoscopy comes in. $30 per eye.
You can't do both.
Per eye, huh?
You can't do both again.
Actually, you can. In most, I said that at a lecture once, and John Rampox about took my throat out. He goes, "You're wrong," and I'm like, okay. So in most payers, there is no edit between those 2 procedures. It makes no sense to me. It seems to me like the ultimate edit. But there you go. Treatment with contact lenses, hopefully everyone's doing this. Zero outlay of costs, okay? The ultimate pain relief. How many people have had a corneal abrasion? What did it feel like? Yeah. There's like childbirth and then corneal abrasion, okay? Just this side of it, okay? Bandage lenses are a miracle, okay? Do not let your patients be in pain. $39. No costs. Extended color vision. I'm pretty sure Craig's talked about this, hadn't he? We're going to talk about it just a slight bit different. $58, costs about $1,200. That's not much, guys. You're spending that on nothing. $1,200, okay? Conan system. Conan's the only one that has one, I think. Easiest thing in the world, you just hand it to the patient, they walk through it on a tablet, and it sits there and tells you everything in the findings, tells you the diagnosis, tells you everything. Easy? Holy cow, yes. Application? Oh, I've heard people go, this is stupid. Why would you ever test someone's color vision? Oh, let's look at it. There's two kinds of color vision defects, congenital and acquired. I'm not sure there's a lot of application for congenital. I mean, if some guy comes in and says, I'm colorblind, I'm like, I'm going to run a test on you to show you that what you already knew. But how many people have ever asked by an occupation or a health evaluation from a driving, a truck driver or whatever, that they want documentation of their color vision? Now it becomes an application for even those folks. But here's your application. Acquired defects. That's all documented literature stuff. And look at the medication side effect list. You know, I get so sick of lectures on Plaquenil I could spit. You would think that is the only drug known to eye doctors that has side effects. The list is massive. Massive. It's way bigger than that. Those are just the ones that cause color vision defects. And you're like, well, I don't know. Oh, well, look at this. The National Institute of Health says eye doctors should be conducting color vision evaluation of those patients. The National Institute of Health. So I contend the people that tell you that color vision testing is a stretch are just flat wrong. So there's an easy, good application piece of technology that doesn't cost a lot. Yes, ma'am?
So how do you talk to your ED patient who's taking his medication that he needs a color test?
Ms. Jones, the digoxin you're taking can cause problems with your color vision perception. It's reversible, and you can be on a different medication that doesn't have that side effect. We can test for that, and if it's positive, we can talk to your doctor about maybe changing that medication.
ED drug? Isn't that ED drug?
I'm sorry?
The fourth one from the last, is that ED?
Oh, oxymetazoline?
One before it.
Oh. Well, okay, my answer to that is, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to be a doctor. It's time to talk to people. It's like chlamydia. Miss Jones, you have chlamydia. It is a sexually transmitted disease. Those words do not just fall off your tongue. But guys, that's what doctors do. We have to talk to our patients. We can't be shy. Can't cut. It's what doctors do. Everyone's got visual fields or should. God, if you don't, get one. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips about this. This is a high reimbursing procedure. Always has been, still is. It's a pain in the rear. And everyone's looked at them and gone, what in the heck do I make out of this? But we're talking standard of care issues again, and the applications are endless. So here's my recommendations if you don't have a visual field. They're not in order. As a matter of fact, everyone talks about Humphrey visual fields being the gold standard. Not anymore. I'm in the Optometric Glaucoma Society, and we talk about octopus, not Humphrey anymore. That's the new upcoming instrument for glaucoma. So Humphreys aren't bad, but they're way more expensive than everybody else. Way more. Okay? If you're looking for a good bread and butter, don't have a visual field instrument, look at that center field. Look, they all reimburse the same. But you're talking about the difference between a $15,000 instrument and a $50,000 instrument. And let's make it even easier. How many people have bought used equipment? A few, okay? We'll start. A lot of this equipment is great used. Now, I've put up some sites up there. 2 of them I have. Actually, I've bought from all 4 of them. But those first 2 I have very close knowledge of. They are very reputable people, and they can find just about anything you want. I would be leery about used technology as the technology gets more fancy. So I don't know if I'm going to go out and buy a scanning laser that's used. But I'm going to buy a visual field and a fundus photography instrument, stuff like that. Save a lot of money. A lot of money. And here we go. Anterior segment photography. Capital outlay, $0 to $20,000. So, well, that's a big stretch, isn't it? What's 0? Okay. So everybody, I won't even ask how many people are on optometry blogs. But if you're on, get off of them. Good Lord. They're like the bane of our existence. The absolute best place in optometry to find bad information. So they had a big debate about it. You can't take a picture of a patient with a cell phone. That's not legal. Really? Wrong. Nothing in CPT says what instrument you have to use. It says you have to use a camera. Is there a camera in here? End of story. End of story. All right. Fundus photography. My first fundus camera I bought for $800. That was in 1981. I can buy that same fundus camera today for $1,000. Yeah, it takes slides. I don't know if I want to do that. But the point is there's very inexpensive used fundus cameras on the market. Man, I can just take pictures of stuff all day long. Okay, all day long. So, that one's pretty easy. I do want you to know that you do have to follow the rules with photography, and we've talked about those before, and I'm sure Craig talked about them. All right, scanning lasers. It's got a star on it, doesn't it? Ouch. I told you you don't have to spend a lot of money. I lied. Here's one you got to spend some money. These are becoming pretty much a standard sight in eye care. If you are going to manage retinal disease, you have to have one, period. And we've already told you, you got to manage retinal disease. So that's why the star's up there. Now, capital outlay varies. So which one do I buy? All right. I said that I'm not going to mention companies that paid me anything, and I'm not. But I'm going to tell you there's a company out there that has a whole bunch of options for you that makes really, really good stuff. And they haven't paid me a dime to say it. As a matter of fact, I just now got one of their instruments. I've had their competitor for 10 years. So it's a really good company, and here it is. It's OptiView. They have 3 different instruments for you. And this is what's really cool about their product offering. They have starter all the way to advanced. You want starter? Get starter. That's a starter instrument right there. Okay? Now, I throw this up because you see that the cost is the same as that one. And this one does a whole lot more, so why would I buy that one? And the answer is because this is a screening device that's totally automated. The patient just sticks their head in there and it lines it up and goes boop and takes a picture and you're done. This you got to work at a little bit more. So that's the difference. But my opinion, I would really gravitate toward the iView because it just gives you so much more diagnostic information. If you don't have a fundus camera, they teamed them up, and that's called an eye fusion. For $55,000, you can get a great fundus camera and a dynamite scanning laser. That's not a ton of money for the reimbursement and for the peace of mind and the wisdom you're going to acquire managing retinal disease. Okay? Now, you want the big stuff? Fine. Spend $85,000, $89,000. Knock your lights out. Terrific piece of instrumentation. Is that where you need to go? If you want to go. But you have to make that decision, okay? That's what I've got. But Where are you in the spectrum? You ready to walk or you ready to run? This is running and that's walking. Okay? All right. Corneal topography. You can get these used. Look at the spread. 5 to 50, big spread. Okay? Common payment policies. Honestly, these are almost more of a contact lens device than anything. Almost more of a contact lens device than anything. So how many of y'all are in the realm of specialty contact lenses these days? Okay? Well, there's another niche you better grab onto, because that is a really, really cool thing. You're going to need topography to go there. Anybody doing myopia control? One. Okay? Didn't we just tell you myopia is going away? That's one of the ways it's going to go away. Is optometrists are going to make it go away. That seems kind of counterproductive, doesn't it? Well, that's what the public's going to want us to do. So that's something you probably need to be looking into. When we talk about how do I compete against the changes that are coming, it's I replace what I'm losing with something else. Specialty contact lenses, myopia control, medical disease, etc., etc. Okay? So this doesn't reimburse a lot, but it's a really good, and a lot of times this is coupled with an autorefractor, so if your autorefractor ever goes down, just make sure you buy a new one where the two are together, and usually you don't spend much more money to get topography. I think Craig's going to do some plug training. Oh, I don't have a star up there. There's just not a whole lot of application for punctal plugs anymore. Just not a lot. There is some, but not a lot. We got so many other better ways to manage, dries and punctal plugs. But they still have an application. Still have an application. And the reimbursement's really, really good. And look, this is easy. How many people are doing punctal plugs? Okay? Oh, guys, come on. It's a piece of cake. It's a piece of cake to do this. Nothing hard about this at all. Big reimbursement, and when it's needed, it's great therapy. Okay? Capital outlay, nothing. Because you're going to burn a plug, but you're getting reimbursed for that. So you don't have to go take out a lease or anything like that. Capital outlay essentially zero. So here's more things that we're doing to take better care of our patients, and we haven't spent a dime. Haven't spent a dime. Dark adaptation. Anybody know about this? This is a pretty cheap instrument, $35,000. Okay, look at the reimbursement. That's pretty good. Now, what does this thing test for? AMD. AMD. How many patients do you have that have AMD or are suspect or at risk for AMD? You know how many I have? Where do I practice? Inner city? Who lives in the inner city? African Americans and Hispanics. African Americans and Hispanics don't have AMD. I don't have one of these, but I think you should, because I don't think your patient population is like mine. AMD will be one of the biggest diseases in eye care going forward for two reasons. It's bad, and the public is very aware of it. You talk about care hacking. The public knows all about macular degeneration, and they're scared of it. This test predicts the onset of macular degeneration and the progression like crazy. And it's the old technology of dark adaptation. So it's a lot like VEPs. VEPs were around forever. We just developed a clinically applicable instrument. Same thing with dark adaptation. This thing's about this big. It's no big deal. Run very easily, run by your technician. It's not invasive at all, and it's very valuable information. You can run it both as a screening or a diagnostic test. So how many people have Optos in their practice? Okay? And you offer it as a screening fundus photo for your patients, probably, and as hopefully diagnostic billing for it as well. That's what people are doing with this. Screening option. Everyone over the age of 40, 50, pick your age, pick your categories. You are in a category of patients who are at risk for this disease. Would you like to have a test that tells us your likelihood of developing the disease